Pokemon anime has its fair share of mistakes, but the 32nd episode has one you didn't notice. Around the 7th minute of the episode, Ash commands Bulbasaur to use Whirlwind while confronting this female trainer. Who knew a grass Pokemon could use Whirlwind? Maybe the producers were too engaged in the battle to notice there is no way a grass Pokemon can learn such a move. I'm sure they also didn't notice the time Zubat, a Pokemon without hands, carried Squirtle in the opening credits of Indigo League's first arc. How is this even possible? Maybe there's an invisible glue holding them together or something. Well, that's a better possibility than this Pokemon standing on water. In the 152nd episode of the Ruby and Sapphire series, Ash's Corphish dodges the Vice Grip move thrown by Crawdaunt. But you see, the same spot that Corphish lands on is the same spot that Crawdaunt also lands on. That's crazy! But what's even crazier is how Delia's shirt changes color from blue to yellow in the 80th episode of the anime. Is there something about darkness and colors we know nothing of? Because in the same episode, Professor Oak's eyebrows go from black to gray, and Ash's shirt goes from black to blue. The color errors in this episode are just alarming, because even Richie's eyes turned blue when Arbok got dizzy from Pikachu's move. If you didn't notice all that, then there is no way you would have noticed when the producers hypnotized Nurse Joy in the 18th episode of the Johto League Champions. How else can you explain Nurse Joy saying,
I wonder if I should bring Snubble to the Pokemon Center
when she was already at the Pokemon Center? The writers need to say something about this. They also need to say something about Snubble's glowing bows. Did you know that in the same episode, the red bows on Snubble's head glows during its evolution? The bows are not even part of its body. This is one thing I can't wrap my head around. I also can't wrap my head around what happened in the 55th episode of the Black and White series. During the battle between Axew and Scraggy, when Axew uses Scratch, Scraggy's arms change to the color of his baggy pants. That's not supposed to be the color. Everybody knows Scraggy's arms are supposed to be a lighter yellow. Apparently, they made the same mistake again when Scraggy rolled on the floor after missing a high jump kick from Axew. Scraggy doesn't deserve the same error twice. Even Gothita can testify to that. When it tried to confess its love for Scraggy to her trainer, her lips disappeared. That was just the wrong moment for her lips to disappear. The producers didn't even give her enough time to express her feelings. But they made Gulpin use the water gun move in its amorphous form that can't even hold water. That's a move it cannot legally learn. Still, in the same episode, when Bellsprout peeks its head out of this truck, its right eye develops a sclera. That should act as an eye-opener for the viewers because this particular mistake blew my mind. Pay close attention to this scene. You can see Tello is with Ash and his friends here while they are waiting for their Pokemon. Let's go back to when they were running away from Loudred before they escaped through the cave exit. How come Tello isn't with them here? In the 107th episode of the Ruby and Sapphire series, Nikki says,
Square Top's the highest mountain on the island.
but if you look closely, the mountains in the background are higher in perspective. And even as Ash and his friends were talking with Gordon about the water flow, May's spandex shorts are nowhere to be found. Are my eyes playing tricks on me like it did in the 170th episode of the same series? In the episode, Alakazam uses Focus Punch on Corphish with his right hand, but it's his left hand that glows instead of his right. Can you believe that Corphish lies to Annabelle in the same episode? You have to believe me. Just listen.
Corphish is saying it's nice to swim again. It sounds like it's been quite a long time.
That's a lie! It actually swam the day before when it helped Annabelle and Pikachu. Now, let me show you some errors from the 15th episode of the XY series. Check this out.
You can't eat them all!
Yeah! Notice how one of the spikes in Chespin's head disappears when he's about to eat this macaron he stole? That was so hard to notice, but not as hard as noticing Finnegan's fur change color. All it did was eat its fellow Pokemon, and the producers changed the fur on its left cheek to yellow instead of white. Let's leave Finnegan's fur for a second and focus on the spot on Chespin's head as Wily is about to strike its final move. OMG, where did the brown spot go? And when Chespin dodges Delphox's move, the bow on Serena's hat gets malformed too. In the final episode of the Black and White series, when Ash commends his Pokemon for fighting hard at the Unova League, Ash's Charizard responds alongside his other Unova Pokemon, even though it didn't participate in the competition. I guess it was in the spirit of celebration. Speaking of celebration, Unfezant disappears for a moment while Ash's Pokemon are celebrating their victory after defeating Team Rocket. Unfezant was right there when Ash was talking to them. How did the producers forget to add him in the next scene? How did they also forget to make Kingler, Muck, and Glalie look normal? Just take a look at how they look so much smaller than normal in this frame. Are you aware that a clip from the 109th episode of the XY series was reused in the 138th episode? When Serena and Shauna began their performance, Serena commanded Braxton to use Flamethrower. The position of her Pokemon changed from her left to her right, with her in between Braxton and Sylveon. That was not just a mistake, but a reused clip. In the same episode, when Serena and Shauna walk up to Jessie after she and her Gorgeous make their entrance, Shauna's Flabébé is initially shown to be floating behind Shauna, but when the shot changes, it is in front of Shauna. Anyway, have you ever seen any Pokemon begin an attack that hasn't been called by its trainer? Well, in the same episode, during Ash and Serena's battle, Braxton begins executing its Fire Blast before Serena can finish calling out the attack. I guess Braxton can read Serena's mind. That's a better error than the ones in the Lost Leader Strategy episode in the Diamond and Pearl series. You see, while Electabuzz is attempting to flee from Reggie, it first sneaks over this tree, but in the next scene, it sneaks behind the tree closer to the fence. And while Dawn is talking to Maylene near the river, Lucario is seen behind her in one scene, but in the next frame, it disappears. After that, Lucario reappears behind Maylene. When Pikachu uses Volt Tackle in the same episode, the drawing of Pikachu surrounded by electricity comes out lower than the drawing of Pikachu without the electricity, making it seem like there are two Pikachus with one contending the other. That makes more sense than putting Serena's hat on her head without her consent. It happened here. Serena's hat was shown on her head, but in the scene before, she had taken it off. Or did she put it on behind the scenes? When Serena is going to rescue Eevee, Bonnie appears with 5 bangs on her forehead without her hairpin. As Bonnie is playing with Pancham, Chespin, and Eevee towards the end of the episode, her ponytail is nowhere to be found. This error repeated 3 good times. And just as Clement was about to set up his invention, his hairstyle was switched backwards. But that's better than denying a Pokemon you tried stealing. In the 59th episode of Ruby and Sapphire series, Team Rocket does not recognize Torkoal, despite trying to steal one 4 episodes earlier. Torkoal gets knocked out by Thunderwave, even though it is a move that does no damage. What's more confusing is how Nurse Joy's examination room opens to both the right and left in this scene. When Ash first takes Oshawott and Tepig to the Pokemon Center, the door to Nurse Joy's examination room opens to the right. When they return later to have her care for Roggenrola, the same door opens to the left. In the 47th episode of the Diamond and Pearl series, Dawn's belly button disappears in several scenes. One that stands out is the scene where Mira is telling the gang that she lied about looking for her grandmother's pendant. When Buizel and Piplup are chasing Team Rocket's Sharpedo boat, the spots on Buizel's back disappear. Brock stated in this video that Gyarados is a dual water flying type, and Missy replies that Pikachu should still have an advantage over Gyarados because of his electricity. What they are trying to tell me is that electric attacks are super effective against water-type Pokemon, but weak against flying-type? Oh no, that's so wrong! Because in reality, electricity attacks are strong against both, giving Pikachu a double advantage. When Ash tells Charizard to use Fire Spin while using Seismic Toss, Charizard rotates its head a full 360 degrees. Seismic Toss is a gravity-fed throw, and Charizard cannot achieve that after a 360-degree rotation with Dragonair in its arms. This same Dragonair's horn got missing as it fainted during battle, and at the end of the episode, Claire said goodbye to Liza.
Great seeing you, Liza.
I don't think I'm the only one who has heard Liza. Also, you really have never seen a Pokemon in real life before, have you? But I have, and I've shown a ton of them in this video on your screen. See you there!